What up, y'all? I got another fucking movie review for y'all. I'm like, damn, she just come with the bitches back to back. I show them because I am on a journey to be informed. That's what I want. I can tell y'all about my experience all day long, but guess what? All the digging that I'm doing to give y'all this information that I want y'all to know because it's helping me. I gotta share it, which means I gotta keep going. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so that being said, today we are talking about Have a Good Trip. That is the name of the movie. It is on Netflix. I just kind of took some notes, so this is not really in no particular order, and I'm not trying to like synchronize this shit so that it goes and flows or whatever, but I'm just gonna talk through the little bullet points that I wrote down. Overall, did I like the film? I'm kind of indifferent about it, and I'm just gonna be straight up about it for a number of reasons. One, it was some things in there that just did not resonate with me, and I just felt like they were exaggerated and not realistic. I felt like there was a lot that was touched on, but it was a lot that was left out. Maybe that's just me being biased because of a number of reasons. In general, I just kind of feel like it was in between for me. The first bullet point I wrote down, it says the Black experience. Because the Black experience is the reason that there is a major disconnect in a lot of things. The disconnect between stigmas, the disconnect between inclusion, the disconnect between thoroughly understanding something, the disconnect between proper treatment, the disconnect between effectiveness as it pertains to gender, as it pertains to race, as it pertains to ethnicity, as it pertains to health conditions, as it pertains to all the different variables. The Black experience with a lot of shit for me is one of the motivators of why I'm even doing this series. Now I'm gonna make a separate video about that because it's a lot to unpack with that, and I'm not gonna use this film to do it. However, this film really just spoke that up for a number of reasons. A$AP Rocky was in this film. So basically in this film, they talked to a bunch of different celebrities about their experiences with LSD and with psilocybin mushrooms, with psychedelics in general, really. I can't remember if they talked about DMT. Yeah, you know, all the shit that really make you hallucinate. Everybody sharing their experience. They doing like mini story times per person. But A$AP Rocky was the only Black person in that film. Now there's a Latina actor, I cannot remember her name. Even her experience, it just did not resonate with me at all. Some of the shit that A$AP Rocky was saying, it resonated, but it also just didn't. Like, I felt like it was a disconnect. Me, I'm a regular motherfucker. I am. Like, grew up on the south side of Chicago, went to college, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of different circles that I could be in. But I feel like the perspective of celebrities is just different, especially when it pertains to drugs, because one, they have access to so much shit. They in a different tax bracket money-wise. They in a different network as far as who's around them. And literally any and everything is at their disposal. And if they can't get it themselves, they got a fucking assistant who knows somebody that can. The way that they depicted the Dare film throughout this movie, honestly, I took it kind of satirically, but it was also a misrepresentation of like reality. I never went to no party where it was just people walking around like, hey, want to do some drugs? That shit not realistic at all. Niggas with drugs was not walking around sharing them shits. Motherfuckers barely want to pass the blunt. They not walking around with no fucking LSD or no acid that they put in some damn lemonade and shook up. Like, yeah, take a swig of this. Let's go for a ride. Like, that's very much so unrealistic as fuck. I did not like that. I mean, I get that. I get the point of the film was just to exaggerate, but, and you know, it speaks to the ways in which people portray things that they don't like. They got something that's like, oh, we're going to say that this is bad and this is how we going to portray it. It was a lot of shit that just was not fucking true. I haven't done research and been around. I've been around all types of crowd. I've been around white people. I've been around Black people. I've been around Hispanics. I've been around, you know, like all type of different people who deal with all type of different shit. And it was just one of them things for me that I was just like, I get it, but y'all are trying to push this negative narrative that's not even realistic. So that was a strike for me. I really didn't like that. The amount of money for drugs and access to people, I'm going to emphasize that one more time, because even in one of the story times, this boy talking about how he in high school. He told his mom he was going to his friend's house for the weekend. They got this car and they got a suitcase with all these fucking drugs in it. This nigga said he had pills, he had weed, he had shrooms, He had like a fucking smorgasbord of substances. He just, yeah, he threw it in the trunk. They driving down the road. They see these two bitches. They pick them up. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. Go back. You in high school. You went to your friend's house. You told your mama you was going to your friend's house. Your mama didn't call your friend mama and be like, hey, my son over there. Yeah, girl, they over here. They kicking it. Like, in high school. Like, okay, disconnect number one. Disconnect number two. Where the fuck is y'all getting money from to go get this goddamn suitcase full of drugs? Like, it wasn't on no Euphoria, Miss Lori type shit, but it was literally maybe a good fourth of that. Like, take a fourth of all the shit Zendaya got for 10K and stick it in that suitcase. Like, that's how they was painting this shit. They talk about, oh yeah, and then we went and got this hotel room in high school? In high school? Like, okay, a lot about going to your friends, that's realistic. But you got a car. What fucking car is it? Y'all riding down the road picking up bitches. Then y'all get the hotel. Then y'all go to this hotel. Y'all tell these girls that y'all got all these pills, drugs, and shit like that. They snatching opiates from y'all. This girl passed the fuck out. Y'all think she dead. Y'all done did all this shit. Her friend just sitting there like,
oh my god, she's on the floor.
Y'all, like,
sorry.
like, but that just, again, it speaks to the disconnect. It speaks to the disconnect. And cultural difference in general is another aspect of this whole conversation that I'm trying to start as well. Proximity matters. Knowledge matters. It's a lot of people in the hood, it's a lot of drugs that they'll never do because they see how that shit turn out for other people, but they'll sell it because it's a moneymaker. But they know enough about it to stay the fuck away from it. You know what I mean? Like, cultural difference sometimes, especially with me being black. Again, I can only give y'all my experience. I can only speak on my behalf. There are people who have the same experience as me. There are people who are black and don't have no experience with no type of shit that I'm talking about. But the difference in culture, the most potent thing, I literally cannot stress that enough. Disconnect, disconnect, disconnect for a number of reasons. When it comes to the way that things were depicted, to a degree, I feel like some stuff was downplayed because we talking about celebrities. If we really being honest, psychedelics are probably fun for them, but coke and heroin are big in Hollywood life, in celebrity life, to the point where pills and opiates and all these other stronger, harsher substances are the main characters. I've heard so many stories about shit that go on in Hollywood. I feel like A$AP Rocky, I don't know him as an artist. I don't know him as a person. I mean, I listen to his music, yeah. But like, to really know somebody, we don't really know these motherfuckers. But also too, I kind of get the vibe from him that he like one of them hella laid back black people. He be like, yeah, so tell me about it. He be like,
that shit was cool. That little motherfucker was decent. It was alright. Yeah, I fuck with it.
And that's it. Like, nah, I want you to give me some details. He like,
I mean, that shit was cool. Like, that shit was cool. Fuck it, try it. You do it. Shit, that shit was cool though.
and that's it. You know, I kind of wish there was just more representation, but then also knowing that this whole film is full of like celebrities, people in the film industry, people who tax brackets removed from regular motherfuckers. And I feel like when we having this conversation, as we always do with politics and access to literally everything, we have to consider the difference in cultures, the difference in perspectives. And black culture is just so complex. But again, that's one of the things that I kind of want to do with this series. I want to talk about the shit that I know. I want to talk about my experience. I want to talk about my shit and tell my story. My story may be relatable to some people. A$AP Rocky, some of the shit he was saying, it was like, yeah, I resonate with that. But some other shit, I was like, this a socket that got 2 slots and I got a 3-prong. Fuck. I mean, but you know, I still listen. I took the perspective into account, but then I also had to take into account the differences. Speaking of differences, there was a part of the movie that really stuck out to me about differences because they talked about the whole stigma of, oh, if you're doing shrooms, if you're doing acid, don't look in the mirror. Don't look in the mirror. And it's like, I never had that don't look in the mirror experience. People ask me, so do you recommend not looking in the mirror? And I'm like, my nigga, I was fucking tripping polar bear balls, and I was in the mirror having a whole pep talk with myself about how I was gonna meet Meg Thee Stallion and we was gonna be on Instagram twerking and talking about body positivity, and somebody from Legendary was gonna be there too because bitch, we finna Vogue, and that's gonna be my homegirl and how I fuck with her. And it was like fucking 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was packing to go out of town. Like, I was in the mirror like, bitch, and yes, I do got fucking cellulite, and I'm gonna shake this shit. And guess what? Whether I got cellulite or ass dimples or back rolls or all of that shit, these niggas still gonna be like, yeah, shorty, throw that shit. Lit as fuck. These niggas don't give a fuck, and I want you to not give a fuck neither, sis, because I had a whole pep talk about body positivity and confidence, and I just wanted Meg Thee Stallion to be a part of that because I fucking love her. I love Meg Thee Stallion, right? Not to mention, I was also rewatching Legendary. I need them to like chop with another season. But the whole look in the mirror shit, everybody who explained the whole don't look in the mirror shit, 1, they was white, and 2, they was like, yeah, you know, your skin is translucent, so you can like literally see everything through your skin. And I'm sitting here like, bitch, I can barely see my vein. Like, I gotta go to the yellow side to see a vein. Like, and that's really only because I'm light skinned. What if I was 4 shades darker? Like, I don't got no damn translucent skin. I'm looking in the mirror and I can see my fucking organs. Like, again, disconnect, cultural difference, you know. But for some people, looking in the mirror is trippy for them. But I also feel like, too, people put that there, so now they're expecting that. So now they're gonna go do that and expect for it to be trippy. So now they looking for any single thing to be out of the ordinary when they look in the mirror. And even if it's really not out of the ordinary, they gonna be like, oh yeah, you know, I did feel something. I don't know what it was, but it was something. Yeah, don't look in the mirror. It was something. It was something. It's like, well, I looked in the mirror and I saw a fat ass. So, you know, take into account what other people say, but just know that some shit might not be a part of your journey. I keep telling y'all that. Your journey is yours to define. Their journey is their experience. They can tell you about it later, but yeah. So that whole mirror shit, no. One thing I did like that they said in here, they said the more you control your sets and your setting, the better of an experience you will have on your trip. And I have been telling y'all that. And so when they said that, then they start going into these little tips, right? They like, where you at and how safe you are matters. Don't be around assholes, people who are going to like tease or pull out like deep sadness and guilt or like try to shame you for shit. And when they said don't be around assholes, like, ooh, do you see something? Like, how many fingers do I got up? You know, like antagonizing asshole shit. I very much so agree. You don't want to be around negative Nancy's. You don't want to be around people who, like fucking nitpickers and judgmental people. Girl, fuck you. And fuck you too, Mr. Nigga. And yeah, so fuck all of y'all. Get the fuck out. Y'all not finna fuck up my trip. 2 steps, nigga, to the door. Fuck is you talking about? What Martin said, get the stepping. I did like that a lot. Another thing that made me think about was don't be around people who just gonna let you do dumb shit. The company you keep is very much so a good thing, especially when you're under any type of influence. Whether you be drinking or, you know, smoking or doing shrooms or popping pills or whatever you do that's your vice. Don't be around people who you do not trust with your life and your fucking safety. Prime example, I could be drunk out of my mind, but my best friend is gonna know, best friend, sit down, you're doing too much. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna listen to her because she got my best interest at heart. She not gonna let, like, I could be doing dumb shit, drunk, like, oh, picking up shit, and what's she gonna do? Just come grab it from you. Okay, we're gonna put that down. Okay, you gonna sit down. Okay, yeah, and lift your foot up so I can put your shoe on because we getting ready to go. You know what I mean? Like, don't be around people who gonna let you do dumb ass shit for their personal entertainment or like talk about your ass that don't really give a fuck about you, because I think that definitely is a big ass piece of it. It's a very large piece of it. The also caveat to that is that they should be able to check you. If you're doing a substance around people who you're not comfortable with them getting you together, you shouldn't be doing no shit around them. I'm sorry, you're not. They need to have your best interest at heart. One thing they also said, when in doubt, zoom out. I never heard that before, but I think it's a great way to give people a tip to, like, okay, when you overthinking it, just take a step back, regroup, and try it again. Because honestly, that whoever thought of that, go. That was really good. That was really good. That was really good. I don't really know how to explain it much more than that, but when in doubt, zoom out. Zoom out. Not as in leave, but like, you know, like zoom out. The last 2 things I'm going to touch on. One, the shutdown, because we've talked about that. Every last movie, series, documentary, whatever, they always bring that shit up. It brought it up in this one too. So we finna tap onto that. And then we also gonna talk about how to define bad, because I think that's also important. This film, they talked about the shutdown of research through psychiatrists. And I think that was a different spectrum to attack. So some people was like, oh no, we gonna shut down your labs. No, we gonna shut down your research. No, we gonna shut down your funding. This film talked about how they shut down research through psychiatrists. I'm not gonna give y'all too many details because I do want y'all to watch it. It was just like, with a psychiatrist, you could come for their license. You could come for a lot of shit that's gonna fuck up their livelihood moving forward. That's a different type of interruption. And again, I think that shit is morally wrong. Like I said earlier, so you got a wristband? Back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. Where's my cut? And then, how do you define bad? I think that's a big conversation that has yet to be had, because bad and good are subjective words. What's good for me is not good for the next person. My tolerance is not their tolerance. What I consider as something bad, the next person may take it as a lesson. When I posted the video on Facebook that ended up going viral, somebody made a comment that said a bad trip is a good trip. And it was so many people who was like, this sounds dumb, it's an oxymoron. No, it's not. You have to be at a certain cognitive level of experience and exposure to understand that. It's literally the equivalent of the phrase, every loss is not a loss. Some losses are lessons. Some losses are blessings. Some people define a bad trip as having a bad experience. A bad trip for other people could be that they just didn't like it. They didn't like the experience. Bad could also mean that they're speaking from a place of observance that is not specific to their personal experience. It's kind of like how people who have parents that are alcoholics, or they grow up with drug addicts in their family. So they associate bad by the reference of the experience of someone else that they saw. And although that is valid to a degree, they're only speaking from a place of observance. That is what they determine as bad. And so bad is either given to them from somebody else. And I don't really like that, because again, what you went through may not be what I went through. Prime example, there are some people who had the hardest time of their life. It was very stressful for them to apply to colleges and get in and things of that nature. That was not my experience. I went to Michigan State and graduated from there. I never sent them an application. I actually missed the application date. I had the grades to get in because I was on honor roll all 4 years, all AP and honors classes. I literally put my email address and information on a mailing list. They sent me a phishing acceptance letter and I got in. And it's people who was putting on to me like, oh, it costs so much money to fill out all these applications and apply. It's hard to get in. They selection process is this. And it was like, I got in by sheer luck. That's not my experience. I get it. But don't try to stress me out, because that's what stressed you out. I hear it. I understand it. I took the notes from it. I'm not going to take your negative preconceived notion and apply it to me, because that's unfair to myself. There is a great deal of defining that needs to be done when we are having these conversations. And I feel like people need to start off with what they define as bad. And I think that they should just reword that, like, it was just not a good experience for me. I feel like when we use the word bad, it has unspoken, subjective, negative connotations. And what you define as bad, I might not think is bad. I think that people need to just start unpacking their definition of bad, or just stop saying bad in general. Just say, this was not my experience. I've seen things that have deterred me as it pertains to this. I'm uninterested, but I do like hearing different perspectives so that I can have the knowledge. And leave it at that. I think people get so wrapped up in trying to convince people that something is good or bad. And I don't feel like it ever works. I feel like a lot of times it makes people more curious regardless of whether you said the shit was good or bad or not. They like, man, I'm getting mixed reviews. Fuck this. I'm finna go find out for myself. Like, yeah. Just state your experience and move on from there. Give the people who are curious or questioning the tools that you think they need to have or things that they should be aware of and look out for maybe. Saying that something is bad, I think that's milking it to a degree, and I just personally don't like it, so yeah. If you like this long ass video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Overall, if I had to rate this movie, Have a Good Trip on Netflix, I'm probably gonna give it like a 7 out of 10. Really a 6.5. Yeah, it was a disconnect for me. Sorry, not sorry. That's my opinion. But I do encourage y'all to watch it. Maybe there are differences between you and I that may resonate with you more, but there were just some things that just was too much of a disconnect for me. I took from it what I could, and I did learn things. So I think you should do the same thing too. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I will catch y'all on the flip side. Peace out.